All right, guys, this is Andre back with the Wings Mobile Detailing Podcast. Today, I finally had a chance to interview and talk to, share some ideas and learn from him, Jordan Stupar. His owner, he has his own personal brand, owner of Jordan Stupar Academy for sales training, and he's done business with multi-million dollar companies where he helps in the sales training process as well. And I've been following him since the beginning when he started his sales career, and I've on Instagram. And glad to have you over, Jordan Stupar.
Glad to be on here, man. Thanks for allowing me to jump on here and say hi to your audience.
Awesome, man. I follow you starting your company, the Jordan Stupar Academy. Where you first started, were you in Florida first? When you started?
Yep, I started my entrepreneurial career down in Miami, Florida.
Okay, and that's when I started like to follow you back then at that time. And I wanted to just like share ideas and see what you have to share with the audience as well. And as far as the sales training, what is that you actually do, just to clarify, like in people's mind?
Yeah, so my main intention with the business that I run right now is to help improve and implement successful sales practices, either with individual salespeople or, of course, with small, medium, or large size businesses that are looking to increase sales, retention, reduce churn, so on and so forth. I've been involved now and started 3 businesses in the last 3 years, scaled one, sold my SaaS company earlier this year so that I could focus almost completely on the sales development programs and the things that I like to do with other organizations. So that's really my main focus right now. And of course, I do things in person, virtually, like we're doing right now. And of course, I have a library of exclusive content called Stupar Sales Academy.
Awesome, man. Definitely want to get to that more, Jordan. But what I'm more in a selfish way, man, what I'm most interested in like learning more about is when you first started, because a lot of people, I'm sure they see you on Instagram, and you're big on Instagram, and they, in their mind, it may seem like it was quick. It was like the day, night to day type of success. And I know how that's not how it works. I know that it's through grind, step by step. And started following you when you had your first office, I believe, with your team. And now it seems like you have a bigger office, so it's always exciting to see the growth there. Um, but from the very beginning, where did you start? And if you can share some pitfalls or successful days that you had that you can remember
Early on in my sales career,
early on. Yes.
yikes. My sales career goes all the way back to 2003, technically, when I was still in high school. During the summers, I was always looking for stuff to do outside of just, doing nothing, and ended up selling some vacuum cleaners, some cutlery, so on and so forth. But I would say that, my full-time position as a salesperson really started right in college. During summer break of freshman year, I was first I was fired from Chili's because I was working serving tables and, making a couple of bucks that way. But I got fired because I didn't show up to work like 4 days in a row, just no call, no show. And, obviously there's
Mm-hmm.
only so many times you can do that before they give you the axe. So they fired me. I ended up on Craigslist and got a job selling alarm systems residentially, door to door. And, right off the bat, that was the first slap in the face, just, entering a sales career, going door to door, getting doors slammed in your face, people giving you objections, not interested, already have one, we don't care about it, go away. It took me about 2 weeks, 2 straight weeks of just, really busting my ass, trying to do as much as I could and literally making no sales, 0 sales. I'm watching guys around me getting 1 sale, 2 sale, 3 sales every single day. And I'm the guy that's like working, I'm putting in the work, but I'm not getting anything out of what I'm doing. And so that was pitfall number 1, if it wasn't for my mom, I probably would have just like given up. I remember literally being on a street corner smoking a cigarette because that was the thing I like to do to avoid knocking doors. I'd just
Uh-huh.
stand here on the corner, smoke a cigarette and contemplate my life. And I called my mom and I'm like, you know what, just come pick me up. I'm on the corner of, 4th and whatever, just, I'm done, like I'm throwing in the towel. And she said, I'm not getting in my car. I'm not coming to pick you up, and I will consider it, but you have to knock on one more door. And then she hung up on me, which is the most unlike my mother type of thing that she would ever do. But I think that she knew what was going to happen next. I hadn't learned it yet, what persistence actually was. And this was a very good lesson for me because, literally the next door that I knocked, I didn't even have to knock on it. I saw a guy in the street working on his truck. He saw me and he's like, yo, man, come on down here. What are you selling? And I was like, I'm not really selling anything. I'm giving away some alarm systems. That was more or less the pitch. And he ended up, saying, dude, sign me up, and he walked me into his house. I ended up getting a deal. And it was that moment that, I had that big breakthrough of, no sales, beating myself up, feeling absolutely terrible, cursing my life out, wondering why I'm not getting success or, whatever, to all of a sudden, boom, getting that deal. Yeah. And that was, the heroin for me. Once I got that little dose of what that felt like, I've been addicted to it ever since.
Yeah, you know this more than I do, but it's funny because I do, as an auto detailing company, sometimes I sell my services to dealerships, and I want to acquire their accounts. And a lot of times I just have to go in cold and drive my car in the street, and I just stop by a dealership, and there's always, I tell my guys, you always expect 10 no's. Not to expect, you don't want to get the 10 no's, you want to get 10 yeses, but be ready for the 10 no's before you get the yes. But every time I would personally drive to a dealership, the one dealership that I would see that I would think for some reason, I'm gonna go pass through this one, and it happened many times where that one dealership that I wanted to pass through and I decided to actually go in, that's the one that closed the deal.
Yep.
Has this ever? That's probably like how it happened to you. The one that when you were gonna stop, you were right there to stopping it, and then it was right. That was the moment that you had actually to go. That you had to go.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that was it right there is, that was the very first like big sales and life lesson is, you just got to keep on knocking.
Yeah. And ever that's where you grew from. How old were you back then?
Man, about 18, I think. Whenever you whatever age you are, when you kind of graduate high school into college, that was right there.
Gotcha. Okay, it was right after, around 2018, you would say.
2006, 2007, because I graduated high school in,
okay.
yeah, graduated high school in 05. Had done a little bit of sales there, but like, yeah, as soon as I jumped into door to door, that's when I would say like my real career as a salesperson started, because then I dropped out of school and just did sales full time.
Gotcha, man. Okay. And when you actually decided to be an entrepreneur, and what was the reason? Were you actually rebellious with having a jobs, or it wasn't that reason, you just wanted to?
Oh, I mean, becoming an entrepreneur, and dropping my sales career, that happened, 2017. And that was to scratch an itch I've always really had. I've always been entrepreneurial. I've always been a self-starter. I've always been motivated to create things, sell them, try to make a living doing that. But I never really understood or knew, what it was that I actually wanted to create, what I wanted to actually do. So, when I kind of figured that out, it was just a no-brainer for me to become an entrepreneur, create a product, and see if I could make a living doing it. And, that's what I've been doing now for the last 3.5 years. I've been unemployed for nearly 4 years now. And, I'm super grateful for my entrepreneurial journey. It's not been easy. It's probably been one of the hardest journeys that I've spoken to anybody about, comparing kind of like the journey and everything. But, I'm forever grateful for that. And, it's just given me a lot of inspiration to keep on going.
Awesome, man. And so you get really, I'm sure you get really excited and motivated with where you are now, just growing the company and going one step after the other.
Yeah, this is my third company that I'm growing now. I've had success with the first one. I had success with the second one. And, I'm experiencing a lot of pretty quick success here. And I'm in my 5th month now of Stupar Enterprises. And, we're trajecting extremely well, way faster than I thought I actually would.
Awesome, man. Have you created like a sales team there in the company? Is your
Yeah.
part?
So I'm actually hiring on my first couple of salespeople next week, right before Christmas. I'm getting them set up. I've just been, with the experience I've got now over the last couple of years, I've learned, that processes, policies, procedures, and really just setting the business up before getting all the sales and getting other people, involved in the business. It's super important to make sure that you have all of the things that you need so that when other people are wondering what to do or what process to follow or what's the procedure on this and how do you onboard that, and by the way, when I get a contract, where do I send it to? You have to document all of these things so that as you onboard employees and people to work for you, that they actually know what to do when things actually happen. Because, everybody can pick up the phone, make a cold call or whatever. What happens when it's successful and I actually schedule an appointment? Do I have a calendar link? Do I know how to do this? Do I have access to email? So on and so forth. How do I use the CRM? Blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of little things that make up a business. And there is no such thing as a successful business that doesn't have, processes, procedures, policies, and systems built out for the people that actually work it. So I've taken a much slower approach to building a team this time around because I want to have all of those things in place, have as much of it automated as possible and documented so that when I bring somebody on, the onboarding and the time that it takes for them to effectively do their job is reduced as far as possible.
Going back a little bit before, and where I wanted to get kind of more of your story there, which I'm getting from the beginning. Later, that's how I met you. That's how I saw you the first time, when I was watching Grant Cardone's the Whatever It Takes show that you're
Yep.
that you're hired there by him. And that was really awesome. Like, I saw you, the commitment there. I even saw during the, I think, the last episode that you asked for his number. I was like, oh, that's sweet. But as you're telling me, you're already in sales before, so you're already into that. So it wasn't that you started from there. So you started career way before.
Yeah, I'd say I probably had anywhere between like 12, 13 years of experience in sales as a top producer before I even went there. So yeah, no, I knew what I was doing. It was just a new product and a new business, like anything else. So, just copy and paste the skills that you've accumulated and use them. I think, the number one question I get asked from people, about the 3.5 years that I worked for Grant is, what was the biggest takeaway? What did you learn? And the number one takeaway wasn't anything else other than discipline. One of the biggest problems that I had in my life as a salesperson, though I had experienced some measures of success and had done pretty well, it was always inconsistent because my work ethic was inconsistent. So I'd have a good week, bad week, good week, bad week, good, the roller coaster. And, the thing that I really took away there, due to the culture that Grant put into place there, is you show up every day, no matter what, and you put in the work and you work hard. And while you're there, you utilize your time well. And, being thrown into that type of environment was exactly the last real missing piece of what I needed to have in order to set myself up for success. And so, I also had a bit of a moment right before Grant's office. And the second most popular question I get about working for Grant is, if you would have done anything else other than work there, do you think that you would have experienced the amount of financial and professional success as you did at Grant's office? And, the real answer that I have for everybody, and this is the realest thing I can say about it, is I would have made just as much money, if not more, doing anything else that I would have done had I not worked there or won that reality show or whatever. I had a moment with myself in 2013, that, dude, I hated my life. I hated where I was at. And I had a true, epiphany where I just looked out the window one day in New York City and just questioned my whole life. I was like, what am I doing here? I had no family, no friends. I was the top salesperson at a Fortune 500 company, on the phones, crushing it, but I had limited commissions, limited income, just a horrible, experience. I could talk about that for 3 hours straight if I wanted to give you the full story, but I won't bore you to death. And, it was at that moment that literally, dude, my whole life changed. Nothing really changed. It's not like a Porsche just showed up on the street instead of my Nissan Maxima. And, obviously that's just, it started right there where I made a decision and a commitment to change everything in my life. And then slowly everything changed.
Gotcha. Yeah, I see you're a big car guy as well.
I like
Uh,
cars.
yeah, I've seen that. It's a nice Porsche, by the way. Really nice.
Thank you.
So when you were there before you went to Florida, then you were in New York, you said. You were
Yep.
working for Fortune.
Yep. I was living in New York City. I was living in Queens in 2013. And then late 2013, I think on Halloween, is when I started moving down to Miami.
Got it. But you still consider that as you said, you going to Miami, then you moving out of your place. Did you went across your comfort zone, or or if moving, it was normal for you? Because for some people say, all right, move out and get out of your comfort zone. But for some people, moving isn't a comfort zone in a way.
Yeah, no, at that point, no, it wasn't. I left Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I'm born and raised, where I live now. But I left Milwaukee, I think when I was 20, maybe 21. I moved straight to Hampton, Virginia, not too far away from where you're at right now.
Yeah.
Spent probably 9-10 months there, then drove to Dallas, Texas, lived there for 3.5 years. Then drove all the way up to New Jersey, spent 2 months there, then moved to New York City, spent 11 months there, then drove all the way down to Miami, spent 5 years in Miami, and then right back up to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where I've been now for the last 2-ish years.
Okay. And after after Florida, that's when you went to Wisconsin. There was not another one in the way.
Right. Yep.
You moved quite a bit. I know how that is.
Yeah, I left Wisconsin for about a decade and lived in several different cities, and just I've been the type of person that nothing's mattered to me as much as the opportunities in front of me. And if I can't find an opportunity where I'm at, or I don't like the opportunities where I'm at, I move. And, that's the way I've always operated. And, it's not always been successful, until you get successful. It's like it's like the door-to-door story, you just keep on moving, you keep on doing what you need to do. And sooner or later you'll experience the success and, the things that you actually want out of it.
Mm-hmm. And with that, you said you became a little more consistent, right? Because I know there's a lot of young entrepreneurs who they think that they have to, when they hear people, like they hear influential people like you saying, oh, I moved a lot of places, they think that that's what they got to do. But
right.
At one point you got consistent and you're like, okay, it's up to me. It's not up to me moving and doing 100 things at once. You stay in your sales academy, you're going full on it. Do you agree with me? Do you agree that it wouldn't be, to reach success, you don't necessarily have to really keep changing a lot of things? Is that what you learned?
I think that's a high level question. I think that there's several different answers in which I could disagree, but I would agree topically on that statement that, you don't have to change all the time to experience success. Oftentimes, some of the things that you might want to consider doing is not changing anything and just being super consistent in your approach to what you're doing. But at the exact same time, for your listeners out there, don't get that confused with, hey, I don't really need to change much in my approach to doing what I'm doing. I'll put it this way. If you're right now working at McDonald's at the fry machine, and you just continue working at the fry machine, you never make any changes in your life, you're not in pursuit of doing anything, sooner or later, nothing's going to happen. You're going to be working at that fry machine for the rest of your life because you're not actually changing your approach in the application in which you're exerting your energy and your effort to get a new result. So if you're just sitting at the fry machine, you're not picking up any new skills, you're not helping anybody at the drive-through, you're not swiping credit cards, you're not going to become a manager, the general manager, you're not going to climb up. And, so specifically, yes, you're going to make changes every single day, but topically, you're going to want to put that same amount of energy and effort into the right opportunity. The problem is that most people don't want to take enough risk to change the opportunity or the vehicle in which they're actually in. I'd knocked doors for 8 years, in different cities that I lived in. And, that was cool, but I was never really changing who I was. Yeah, I was growing up a little bit, getting a little bit more mature here and there through my 20s like anybody else would, but I wasn't really changing my work ethic. I wasn't really changing who I was. And it wasn't until New York City where I realized, dude, I'm basically going to kill myself off. The Jordan Stupar that's, been up to this point, he's no longer alive. I have to reinvent Jordan Stupar and become a completely different person so that I can have completely different things in my life. And so that's where, sometimes you have to change everything to change everything.
I was curious, going back a little bit there at when you were at Grant Cardone's office, what was did you have any thing when you're getting into it that you expected, oh, I thought this was going to be this way, but it was a different way when you went there? Or did you already were mature enough to kind of know where you're getting into? It was part of the plan of your life to go there?
I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I had no idea what Grant even did. Literally was sitting at my dead end job in New York City. This was after I decided to change everything in my life. And so I just started looking for opportunities. And so I was on Twitter, and I'd follow Grant because I'd been in sales a long time. I knew he was a sales guy. I'd never read any of his books, never been to one of his seminars, didn't know anything about this guy. I just figured, dude, he's got more followers than I do and more money. So, and I saw a tweet from him come through, and that was, I was sitting at my desk, and I saw that tweet come through. I think it said something along the lines of, send in a video on why we should have you on our reality TV show to get your dream job. And I was like, dream job? Like, it's better than this one. So, I went home, recorded that video, sent it down. A day or two later, like, the producers got in touch with me. They're like, hey, come on down. We'd love to have you on. Only caveat is you're buying your whole flight, your hotel, the whole experience. We're not putting up any money for this whatsoever. And this is going to be, about a 4-day thing here in Miami. And then when you're done, either you get the job and you'll figure that out with the company, or, you get sent back to, wherever you came from. So I didn't have enough money for a round trip flight from, New York to Miami, but I had I'm talking like literally just enough points on my Southwest account to grab round trip. And I didn't have enough money for an actual hotel on South Beach, because God knows if you're, know what Miami is, it's very expensive. And I had no money. So I stayed in a hostel. And if you've never stayed in a hostel, don't do it. It's an insane situation right there on South Beach, staying in a hostel with like 8 other people in bunk beds. Like, they're all partying. I'm here for a business interview. And, ended up winning that show. Everybody knows that. I dominated that show, just crushed it. And, ended up getting that job. And I got hired on, and, I put in my 2 weeks in New York City and drove down. And on day one, I was like, so am I selling books? Like what am I had no idea. And so, I just went down there with the idea that, dude, I'm going to make this work. It has to work because I've made this commitment to myself now to change my entire life. And this is the vehicle I've ended up in. So, let's make this work. And so that's kind of the short story of how that thing got started.
I admire that, man. That's all, because you go into something that you didn't get yourself stuck into the details. You just went for it.
People that are detail oriented and that are, overthinking about a salary, benefits, vacation time, what city is it in? Are people going to like me? Am I going to like them? Am I going to really, maybe I'll just sit back here and do what I'm already doing. Nothing could piss me off more than people that are having those thoughts and don't do anything about it. Because, again, like I mentioned, I went down to Grant's office, had no idea who he was, had no idea what he sold, had no idea how I was going to make money, what my comp plan was, my salary, if I was going to get that, literally nothing. The only thing that I made is I made one decision and one commitment to say, I'm going to change my entire life. And if this is the vehicle or the opportunity in which, I can do that, then voila, I'm going to sacrifice everything I've got going on. I'm going to head down south, go to Miami, and I'm going to absolutely crush this opportunity. And that is specifically what I did, and for the people out there listening or watching this, like, details don't matter. The only thing that matters is what you do with the details. The details don't do anything themselves. So it doesn't matter about the details. Just go for it and make the commitment and the decision to get out of this opportunity that you're looking at, what you want to get out of it. Because at the end of the day, you're the only person that can actually seize that opportunity and do something with it. Opportunities don't come to you, you go to them.
Yes.
That's what I learned.
Agree, man. That's awesome. And that it seems like that's what sales itself, you can speak better than I can, but sales itself, that's what it is about. You just get yourself out there as a first thought, instant thought, and you go for it.
That's it.
Put blockages in a way.
Yeah. When a pitcher throws a fastball at 101 miles an hour and the batter's sitting there with the bat, they don't hit the pause button on the ball to be like, okay, now is this thing should I swing at this or not? Like, you have to make it. You just have to make the decision. Like, does this look decent? Because if yes, I'm going to take a swing, and just way too many people want to hit the pause button. They want to think about stuff, mull it over. Like, either you want it or you don't. So stop, stop mulling it over. That's not going to make anything, better or worse. Again, you're the person that has to take the opportunity and do something with it. So either you're going to do it or not. The opportunity doesn't even matter itself.
Gotcha, man. It's all about you. And there is also a fine line with that perspective as well, which I agree 100%. And there's also a fine line, which is some people may debate that there is, you just get the baseball and you just hit it and you just go for it. Now, if there's not, now there is some part of preparation that you can do before, which you've been telling me at the beginning, which I really also like the balance for you to also know, okay, where is it better for me to prepare before so then I can hit it? Like with your employees, for example, you said that and I want to go over it real quick with you on the problems that you were having initially, when you start having employees and what you learned from that, and what you're doing differently. Do you think that there was, what's the fine line? What's the balance that you're like, oh, I have to prepare for it, or it's time for me to just go for it and learn it along the way? Just
I look at work, I look at sales, I look at business, very similar to how any athlete would end up looking at, going and playing a game. The game is going to start at 7:00 on Sunday night. You're a football team. Like, you have to be there. You got to get dressed up. You got to be wearing your stuff, and you're going to take the field. Like, it's not like, oh, hey, you know what? Real quick, I need to watch the game film one more time. Like, everybody's going to be on the field. It's game time. And so, I would say one of the biggest changes in my own personal life professionally, is salespeople every single day is game day, dude. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sundays can be game day. Every day is game day. And so we don't have 6 days to prepare for game day. What we can do is we can make small, microscopic, incremental, micro changes and improvements so that today I can learn what I can learn. I can prepare, how I can, so that tomorrow when I wake up, I can go and I can perform just a little bit better than I did today. And so, that's where you hear, the cliche stuff of, get 1% better every day. Nobody follows that shit because it's not measurable. Nobody knows what that would actually look like. Do I need to make 1% more phone calls? Do I need to read 1% more paragraphs in a book? Like, what is this whole?
They don't know what it even means, right?
They have no idea. We just love the idea and the concept of this compound effect of get 1% better, but it's too esoteric, too general, and too ambiguous for people to actually, execute on. So most people fail on that. Where I see what I did well is I started looking at the nighttime and I started looking at the morning, because every day during game day, I'm out on the field. I have to perform. I have to make phone calls. I have to close deals. I have to send out contracts. I got to follow up with people. I got to pitch deals, so on and so forth. But, you know, if I'm watching Netflix for 4 hours every single night and I'm spending the mornings hitting my snooze button until the very last minute to put on some clothes and get into the office, well, guess who's going to suck ass at their job? Me. Just like if my quarterback on my team, you know, isn't practicing 6 days a week, isn't going through the film, isn't learning new plays, and isn't practicing, they're going to take the field, call the wrong play at the wrong time. They're going to blow coverage. They're going to throw interceptions, and they're going to suck. And so as salespeople, dude, most salespeople never hit their full potential and never actually succeed or even experience a little bit of success because they don't have any attention on the preparation that it takes in the mornings and the evenings to totally lock in your professional and your personal life for the ability to actually, you know, achieve goals.
Yeah. Agree, man. That's awesome. I'm always I think I'm connecting with you, Mark, because I kind of have had a different perspective on how you were. That's why I always wanted to talk to you. It's different when you're talking to the person, when I'm talking to you right now. Then sometimes I learn more from you when I'm talking to you and see the person that you are. And I really appreciate that. And it's just the type of person who like gets to work. You don't put any type of philosophy in the way, you know, beautiful quotes to work by those quotes. You know, it's just game on. It's game on. You prepare, you learn from it, but you also hit the ball.
Yeah, that's exactly what this whole thing is. And, you know, most people drop the ball, which, you know, I'm kind of grateful for, you know, because, you know, it just makes my job easier, you know, less competitive,
that's true.
Less people out trying to go out and get it, man. Like, dude, what a place this world would be to live in if everybody just like really went for it. You know, like, dude, can you imagine like how amazing of a world it would be if everybody just, you know, like worked hard, you know, like studied. The world would be such a different place, man, if everybody just freaking went for it full force, stopped making excuses and just did it, you know, like, man, can you imagine where like Apple would actually be if every single employee in their company just from a singular unified approach said, dude, we're maxing out all execution. I mean, you know, there'd be less potholes in the streets, you know, Domino's would deliver pizzas faster.
And you can feel that on a micro level, like even for myself. Sometimes I just want to share with people how awesome it is. Because I enjoy to own a business, to have one goal and focus on growing until you've reached there and then make another one, but each day. And if people realize, just like you said, if people were to everybody, they'll live a happier life. I know that for sure. And even when you accomplish something that you have to do in one morning and you do that, you feel the sense of happiness. Imagine, right? Imagine somebody doing that for an entire year.
Yeah. And here's also the other thing is, you know, a lot of people do what they are kind of good at, you know, working in a factory or doing IT or, you know, maybe not the thing that they really want to do. And they're kind of good at it. So like they're all right at it. It doesn't bother them. They're pretty comfortable doing what they're doing. Most people don't understand that doing what you're kind of good at doing on repeat and not doing the thing that you actually want to do badly. Dude, I can go do something badly, but I can give that thing all of me. And even if I don't get the result that I'm looking for, I don't feel successful or I don't get that deal or, you know, whatever it is I'm trying to do. If I know that I tried really hard, I can go to bed happy as hell, dude, knowing that I actually tried really hard and that I'm like, that work is going to pay off if I continue to do it. So, you know, again, anybody else that's listening, you're going to feel happier about your life being a failure, doing the things that you actually want to do, because you know every single failure is just a little notch in the belt. It's just another rung in the ladder for you to get to where you actually want to go versus feeling unfulfilled, but getting a little bit of what you want. I'd rather get everything that I want, fail for years on my way to go get that thing, but I'll still feel fulfilled because I know I'm on my path doing things my way. And I know, dude, sooner or later, the ladder is going to stop and I'm going to be at the top. And that's just like, that's what pushes me along and has made me a happy ass mofo my entire life is, dude, I know where I'm going.
And living life with no regrets. And by that, I mean, if we set something to do in the morning that we know we got to do to grow, to feel better even, we do that, and we're not going to feel regrets in the afternoon. But if we don't do that certain thing that we know we have to do, we're gonna have regret in the afternoon. It's just inevitable.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing of living without regrets, is when you know you're working, you're maybe you have failed many times, maybe we and still there's a lot of times that we're gonna fail still, but because we did it, we know that the end result is always going to be success, in each one's own terms of success.
Those are facts.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Jordan, and one more quick thing, man. I know we have a lot of stuff to do. Where are you going with the company now? Like, what's your goal, and what have you learned, and what are the things that you can think, if you can think of, that you're like, okay, I'm gonna avoid doing this. Any mistakes that you committed that you're not that you improved on?
Um, mistakes that I've made in business that I will avoid doing in the future is number one is partnerships. I think in business, it can be a very attractive proposition for somebody that you like or admire or are friends with to go into business with one another, with the excitement and the enthusiasm of, dude, yeah, we're partnering up for a business. But business has a unique way of taking a magnifying glass to the sunshine of entrepreneurship and just frying the shit out of whoever's underneath that magnifying glass if expectations aren't actually set up, if policies, procedures, and processes aren't defined. I've had some very poor business partnerships in the past that didn't end very well with people that I actually like, based on the fact that there wasn't expectations, there wasn't certain things set up. So, I've become a very transactional person, and, employees, business partners, managers, people I'm going to be hiring and bringing into my business, it's going to be extremely transactional, non-emotional. I'm not here to be friends with these people. I'm here to do good business and rely on them to do their job, which is, of course, going to be detailed out in the expectations. And, I've learned that in business and in sales, whether you're a customer or you're a salesperson or a manager, a VP, an executive, a business owner, whatever, is the only problems you're really ever going to have with people is when expectations aren't clearly defined. Because if expectations are clearly defined, and I know that, when Andre shows up to my office and he knows that he has to make 150 phone calls as the effort, and he knows what his quota is for the month as far as revenue, if you don't hit that, then we can sit down and we can chat about your approach or whatever. And also at the exact same point in time, if you're not, doing the effort that helps contribute to the attainment of the revenue goal that we're going for, and you're not really trying, well, then I don't need to feel emotional about letting you go or having a talk with you or correcting you, because again, this is a transactional, expectation-based relationship. It's not me just giving you an opportunity or a place to stay where I'm going to pay you a couple of bucks. This is you saying, I'm going to do my job, me saying, I'm going to pay you to do your job. And if those things don't line up, then I don't need to be emotional about it. And neither do you, honestly. And so, one thing that I'm going to definitely avoid as I scale and grow this business is taking a lot of the emotion out of the business by making sure that expectations are really detailed. And I think that that's a really important thing for a lot of people to take home.
Awesome, man. And I'll be honest with you, in my own business, I've I've learned a lot also. I learned this kind of the same lesson, that it changed my whole. I have about right now 10 or 11 employees now.
Yep.
And before, I've always I use I would treat them in an emotional way. And after it changed that, not it hasn't been better for me. It's yes, yes, or it's a no, whatever. Even down to the simplest stuff. If they needed to take some time off, it's in the books. It's on the books how many days they,
Yep.
simple stuff like that.
Yeah.
But before, I used to kind of want to put myself in their shoes, because I like to do that a lot, and it has played against me. Put myself in their shoes, thinking, okay, maybe I understand, I understand them, but it doesn't work in a business. And when you're doing with quotas and following goals,
Yep.
it doesn't work to
Yeah.
be emotionally.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, business is the most unemotional thing in the world, because I mean, business is a dollar sign, dude. You know, you either have blood, you know, or you're going to bleed out. And, you know,
Yeah.
that's what business is. And unfortunately, it doesn't run on feelings. It runs on, is there blood in my business or not?
Yeah. I like that, man. That's awesome. I think of it the same way. I kind of consequently on the part of the partnership as well. I couldn't agree more with you. I've never been in a partnership before, but I've always been advised, and I always seen before the problems. It's like a marriage. If you're getting a partnership, you really have to know
Yeah.
with who you're getting into. But even then, you don't know how the person's gonna act 5 years from now. You know.
Right.
Um, and
Very
now,
true.
Jordan, the last thing, man, our pure curiosity as well. I know that you have running a personal brand as well, which is super awesome. Um, what do you plan on growing that together with your sales business, or do you plan on growing more of your employee base there in Wisconsin or going all over the world?
Um, you know, the personality brand for me is really just the hub for people to either transact with me, work with me, or, you know, just use my story or the things that I've been through for inspiration to, you know, do whatever they do. At the end of the day, you know, I know that I can't reach all of my goals alone. I know that I can be very successful completely all by myself, solopreneur or whatever. Obviously, that's not in alignment with my goals. So I'm not going to be a solopreneur. I'll have a company. I'll have, you know, a large team one of these days as I build and scale. You know, but, you know, the way that I use the personality brand is multifaceted and has paid me some dividends, building it correctly and being vigilant, and also being very transparent.
Awesome, man. And I see that on you. This moment we got on the phone, that transparency that you have. That's awesome, man. It's really admirable. Um, Jordan, thank you so much for your time, man. For giving me. I know it's middle afternoon right now, and you got to get to work as well.
That's right. Back to work.
Yeah, and we stay connected, man, on Instagram. For anybody in the audience who wants to follow Jordan Stupar, it's at Jordan Stupar. Is that right?
At Jordan Stupar, that's Instagram, that's Facebook, that's YouTube, that's, you know, just Google me. you'll
Yeah, you'll find
you'll
me.
find some information somewhere.
Awesome, and thank you again for your time, Jordan. Appreciate it, man.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you.